Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Today at the Bluebell Inn in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, where a little bit later on in the show, our teed-off panel will talk about the recent win by Patrick Reed at Augusta National and the 2018 Masters. But coming up, we're going to be talking to John Goslin and Gil Hands. Gil, the architect, and John is the superintendent at Aronimink. Recently, we were there as they were putting the finishing touches on some of the restoration to make it another great year of golf at Aronimink, including in September, the BMW Championship. So stay with us. The Masters and the changes at Aronimink with Gil Hands and John Goslin. Coming up next, right here on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirstteephiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.
In 2008, 13-year-old Lester Bell snuck through the fence of Cedar Crest Golf Course. That's where PGA professional Aaron McGraw first met him. But back home, Lester had given up hope for a future. So Ira gave the young man a job, became his friend, and 3 years later, his legal guardian. Today, Lester's still golfing, and he hasn't given up since. The best stories end in thanks. Share your story at ThanksPGAPro.com.
The First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, where golf is more than a game.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We're at the Grill Room at Aronimink Golf Club in Newtown Square, and we're talking about the restoration of this fantastic golf course with John Goslin, who is the superintendent of golf here at Aronimink, and Gil Hands, the architect, who was given the job to restore it to the Donald Ross design. Guys, thanks for joining us today, and
thank you.
Good to see you again. John, let's do a little timeline, if we could, as to when this project was planned, what the goal of it was in terms of completion, and where we stand right now.
Okay. I think it was in 2015, we want our master plan, which we had on file, was 20 years old. And with, we're all a lot smarter 20 years later, and a lot more information had come to light on the golf course. So we want to do a master plan review. And what was driving it was we had a declining asset, which was our bunkers. They were declining, and we knew that we were going to have to rebuild them. So it was a good time just to review the master plan, and that's when we contacted Gil, and lucky enough, we fit into his timeline as well. And Gil did the review, and when he came back, he just got everybody really excited. What he wrote about the original as-built course and how good he thought it was, and the fact that it was still all here and we could put it back. So that was in 2015. Everybody got on board. We had a member vote, and overwhelmingly they decided, yeah, let's keep pushing the course back to make it as authentic as possible to the original Donald Ross course that was built here.
And Gil, you were working basically off some original design plans and photographs, and we have an aerial shot here that dates back to 1929, so the course was open in 28, so that's what it looked like back then. So you had that advantage to get a pretty good jump start on what you were doing from a restoration standpoint. Huh?
We did. I mean, it's great that the clubs has that resource, and you know, we're blessed here in the Philadelphia area. There's a gentleman named Dolan, and his aerial photography collection is housed at the Hagley Museum down in Wilmington. And he was, you know, worked for a company, took aerial photographs of Philadelphia, but not specifically golf courses, but he loved golf, so he took an extra can of film and always shot photos of golf courses, and we're the beneficiaries of that treasure trove of information. So the fact that the club had that information, and it had come to light after the original master plan was created, allowed us to really look at the differentiation between the plans that Ross had prepared and the course that he built. So from that standpoint, we decided, because the golf course that he built was so dramatic and just so incredibly impressive, that we would, you know, ask the membership if we could go back in that direction. So using that as our guideline, we put together a plan that would allow us to accomplish that.
So when you presented your plan to the membership, now John talked about how originally it all began with the bunkering, and it had something that had to be done with the bunkering. But your plan took into consideration not just the bunkering, but also the greens, not just those two, but also the tee boxes, and then you finished off too by widening some of the fairways, correct? Or narrowing them, wherever the case may be. So was that something that evolved, or was that from day one what you wanted to do?
Well, from day one, I think the club asked us to take a holistic approach on the entire property and to look at Ross and what he had built and say, okay, we know the bunkers were drawn in one instance to be just one bunker here, one bunker there, but the reality was the construction was clusters of 3 or 4 bunkers, and the dramatic improvement visually, but also playability, that would create. What did he do with the tees? The tees were all free form, sort of large flowing. They sat down on the ground a little bit, closer to his original design. The fairways, because the bunkers expanded, they needed to be in contact with the bunkers instead of everything being narrower, which is kind of the natural evolution of any golf course, especially one that had trees as a significant part. They were introduced over a period of time, and once those trees had been peeled back in the original master plan, the golf course sort of fit a frame that was no longer there. And so with the construction of this new frame with the bunkers in place, we also had to fit the fairways to it. We had to fit the scale of the greens back to recapture a lot of what Ross had originally intended, some whole locations that had been lost over a period of time. So kind of looking at the evolution of the golf course, looking at where it originally was, the goal was to restore every element of it back to the original Ross as built. The club would have to decide over a period of time what resources they wanted to commit to that, whether that was a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year project. And with some tournaments that were coming up, et cetera, the club decided after the enthusiastic response from the membership to be more aggressive and pursue all the elements instead of just the bunkers.
John, Gil talked about, okay, the facets, the bunkering, the greens, the tee boxes, the fairways. How much, shall we say, of fairway increase is there compared to 2 years ago?
Well, we added, say for fairways, we added 6 acres of fairway turf width. It's about 20%. We recaptured.
That's pretty significant.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
for somebody that strays the ball like me.
No, it fits. It fits really well now. The way the fairways wrap around. Everything was big when this course was built for its time, so it goes back to that same big scale. The green space is probably about the same, about 18 to 19%, so 29,000 square feet, which is a lot, is what we reclaimed. And the tee space is still yet to be determined because we are adding some forward tees that were never there to pay attention to junior golfers.
How about in terms of stretching out the golf course? Because, you know, we all know today, no golf course, it seems, can contain certain players when it comes to hitting a golf ball. What are we looking at from the tips?
On paper right now, we'll be about 7,300 yards par 70. We did intentionally, well, Gil can talk more about this, but we didn't go out intentionally and try and find more yardage. It just happened as we were doing the tees. As we reclaimed green space, the center point of the green might have moved 10 yards on 15. So 15 was a 499 par 4. Now it's 515.
Okay,
but
got it.
It wasn't necessarily intentional. Who knows in the future if we'll have to go out and do that study in length and take a look and see if we can grab some yardage. It all depends on, you know, how far they keep hitting the ball, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that remains an open question. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask in particular, what holes are there that have changed really dramatically here at Aronimink because of the restoration? Back with John Goslin and Gil Hands on Inside Golf in just a moment.
Hey viewers of Inside Golf, have you heard about Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine? Published by ex-Eagles and Philadelphia Stars tight end Ken Dunnick, these magazines offer the very best in content on subjects of interest to men. Writers include Bill Line and George Anastasia. And you can increase your business by attending our monthly private parties as an advertiser. Call 856-912-4007 or email ken@jerseymanmagazine.com for more information.
Welcome back to Inside Golf and to Aronimink Golf Club with John Goslin, Gil Hands. We're talking about the restoration, which is almost complete. Getting ready for another big year here at Aronimink next September. In 2018, Aronimink will host the BMW Championship, which is the next to last event in the FedEx Cup playoffs. 70 top players will be here. Half of them will not make the trip to Atlanta for the championship. We left off with me hinting that we would talk about what are some of the holes that maybe were dramatically changed, either by length or by design. And Gil, can you think of one? You know, we talked about the length of the golf course. How about the shortening of any holes?
Yeah, we actually did. We took the 5th hole, par 3 along the perimeter, which was always intended to be a short par 3, and as the green is diabolical, so you understand why it should be a short club in your hand, and we shortened that golf hole. So now the members play it in the 125 to 140 range, which is right in context with what Ross had intended. So when you look at the stretching, the pushing, the pulling, we also did a little bit of contraction, but the one place where we did do some definitely stretching is 15 green.
15 green.
15 green on Ross's notes, he referenced it as punch bowl-like, and I think that we extended the green back a good 20 to 30 feet. It recaptured a significant amount of square footage, which is now about 10,000 square feet. So it's a gigantic green, but it's necessary. It's an incredibly long golf hole. And then I think visually, I mean, John can talk about it, but I think it's number 11.
Number 11 from the tee is
Uphill green.
yeah. You just walk off the 10th green and you walk onto the 11th tee, and there's a wow factor there, and it just happened, you know, by putting the bunkers back, and the hole always was very visually appealing, and now it's a little bit of a wow factor when you come around. You know, from what I've heard, from my opinion too, but from when people see it for the first time.
That's when they want to grab their phone and take a picture rather
Exactly.
than play the hole, right?
Exactly.
You know, the whole trend now, it seems to be, nobody's designing, well, I shouldn't say nobody. There are, and you've been involved at Stream Song with a new golf course design at that resort in Florida, Stream Song Black, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
But restoration work is becoming more and more part of what you do. And from a superintendent standpoint, you know, delving back into the past to help an architect like Gil and finding plans and videos and aerial shots. I mean, is this the future for a fellow like you more so than actual new course design?
Well, I think that there's always going to be a bigger market segment because there are more existing golf courses than there will be opportunities. And I think, I'm hopeful at least, that clubs around the world and around this country will take a page from what Aronimink did and really focus on the original golf course architect, and not only just sort of typically what did Donald Ross do everywhere, but specifically what did he do at Torresdale, what did he do at Gulf Mills, what did he do at Aronimink, you know, just a couple of the courses in this city that he was involved with, and as opposed to just generalizations, let's get to the specifics of it, and that was our goal here, was to really focus on what did Ross do specifically and to put that back.
You know, there is the plaque outside, and anybody that's been here knows what I'm talking about, where Ross said, and he's been quoted, and I'll just paraphrase, that he knew it was a good golf course. He didn't realize how good it was and a masterpiece and all that. Is John Gosselin and Gil Hands going to have their own plaque saying, well, we took it one step further, Mr. Ross?
No, I don't think
There won't be
either
a
of
plaque,
us.
yeah.
No, neither of us are looking for plaques. So
No.
our reward is that people come off and go, wow, that Donald Ross knew what he was doing.
Yeah, well, you guys do too, and it's a pleasure to sit here and talk to you, take it back a little bit in history to see when you scratch the surface what you found, and now I can imagine, like anybody, any profession, to see it fulfilled and now get the best in the world to play it is going to be a special year for you.
Certainly be a bonus, yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks.
John Gosselin, Gil Hands, talking about the restoration of Donald Ross's masterpiece here at Aronimink. Stay with us. More to come on Inside Golf in just a moment.
Cut. And Freddie Couples making the cut, and the experience on that golf course, you know, regardless of age, those guys know how to play it and they can compete, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
As long as there is fear, as long as there is curiosity, as long as there are undiscovered corners of the earth, and as long as there is willingness and desire, then you are capable of more. The BMW Championship is coming to Philadelphia September 2018. The top 70 PGA Tour players will be there. Will you?
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues now with our teed-off panel. We're in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, at the Bluebell Inn, the historic Bluebell Inn, where they're ready for any event on your calendar. May 13th is a big one, Mother's Day. It's a vibrant spot. It has a menu to fit all taste, and it's the perfect occasion for a Mother's Day brunch right here at the Bluebell Inn. Panel today includes our good friend Ken Dunnick, former Eagle, entrepreneur, golfer. He's the publisher of one of my favorite magazines, Philly Man and Jersey Man. Hold it up.
Here's the issue, hot off the presses, and not only do we have Uncle Charlie on the cover, which sells itself, but we have a new columnist, Harry Donahue, writing about my old locker mate, Stan Walters of the Eagles. So, Harry, welcome to the Jersey Man, Philly Man family.
Thank you. Pleasure to be there. Speaking of authors, Joe Logan, myphillygolf.com. No, he wasn't at Augusta, but he's here to talk about it. Always good to see you, though, in that green. That's not a green jacket, Joe, right?
I got a closest we're going to get, though.
Right.
It's getting a lot of workouts, though, on this balmy spring we're having. And Bob Shepard is here again.
Yep. Thank
Shep,
you, Harry.
Always a pleasure. PGA professional, teacher, author,
Author also.
and
Yep.
he's back here with us on Teed Off. Joe, you got the green windbreaker on, or vest, whatever, and we're talking about what just happened at Augusta. Another Masters. Had a lot of hype going in. A lot of people thought maybe it would be the most anticipated ever, and it looked like those guys met the hype.
Yeah, I mean, you know, going in, so much of the anticipation was about the return of Tiger. The guy bumps the ratings no matter what. I mean, when he's on in a tournament, ratings go up. But it delivered. I thought it was one of the better Masters we've had in recent years. I would give it a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Why is it always comes down, it seems, Bob, to the back nine on Sunday?
Isn't it? It's funny. The putting in this year's tournament was, I thought, unbelievable. There was very few car crashes, so to speak. Guys were making putts from all over it. And the best of all was the Ricky. What was it, 75 feet? And it went in like a squirrel looking for a nut, just right in there. And that's the part that got me this year was some of the most miraculous shots in Eagles. What was there, 7 Eagles in one day? It was amazing.
There were a few bogeys, I know, on 15 on Friday, but we won't mention that with the former champion,
Right.
Sergio Garcia. Speaking of putts, though, Bubba Watson putted into a bunker.
Yes.
Off the green and into a bunker. Not as bad as Tiger a few years ago. When I think it was on 15, he putted into Rays Creek.
He went right. I think he did. Yeah.
We didn't see that. What was your biggest takeaway, Ken?
Well, I thought the moisture on the greens really improved the scoring. Of course, they had the rain on Saturday, and those guys, you give them, greens that aren't rolling out, they're going to be lights out, not only with their putting, but with their chipping and their approach shots. And then it rained Saturday night, which kept the greens a little bit moist on Sunday, and I thought that made a big difference. But of course, when you've got big names like Reed and Spieth and Fowler going, head to head down the stretch. I mean, if you couldn't have a Tiger-Phil matchup, I thought this was the next best thing. And those guys really put on a heck of a show.
Great show.
Speaking of Tiger and Phil, much anticipation about not just Tiger, but also Mickelson, who admitted after the whole 4 days that he just didn't have it. Does that mean he won't have it again? Is this a prelude to maybe not a good year in majors for a guy that's going to be 48 come the U.S. Open?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see him do pretty well at Shinnecock in the U.S. Open. But I mean, Phil's getting older. He's closer to the end than he is to the beginning. So to expect him to be on the top few names of the leaderboard in every major is getting to the point he can't do that.
A few years ago, Bob, Patrick Reed made some headlines, some controversy when he proclaimed himself one of the top 5 players in the world. Right. And here was a guy at the time, hardly anybody knew about him. It looks now like that kind of prediction is close to being true. He's not top 5, but he's not that far away. No. Is this kid going to be a multiple major winner, do you think?
I think he is. It's the old story. People say, do you think I can make it on tour to me when I was teaching? And I'd say, well, take me down in your den and let me see how many trophies you got. And if you don't have any filling up your armoire, you're not ready to do anything. You might as well go get a job at a drugstore because you're not going to make it in this tour. This is a rough racket. And he was standing up in front of everybody saying, hey, don't interview him all the time. Don't forget me. I'm playing pretty good right now. And eventually I'm going to get real good. And he's come true to his word. So.
Twice on a big stage in the last, 2 years, we've seen him go head-to-head with Rory McIlroy, who arguably is, among most golfers, a better player than Patrick Reed, and he beat him. He beat him in the Ryder Cup in an epic match, right. And he beat him in the final round of the Masters. I mean, he just tucked him away when it looked like, maybe he was going to wilt under pressure. He didn't do it. If anything, it was Rory.
Yeah, well, Rory's bugaboo has been the putter, and up until recently, he had been putting poorly. The last few weeks, he putted pretty well. In the first 3 rounds of the Masters, he putted very well. Yes. That didn't show up on Sunday, and of course, if you're going to win a Masters, you have to have a great putter. But, you talked about some of the older guys. How about guys like Langer making the cut, and Freddie Couples making the cut, and Olazabal playing well? That's one thing about that tournament is the experience on that golf course. Regardless of age, those guys know how to play it and they can compete, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does. One takeaway that I had, Joe, is that when you looked at that final round on Sunday, you just had to realize how good a shape golf on the tour level internationally is for the next 10 years. They're all in their 20s, these guys. Right? I mean, it's pretty healthy.
My big takeaway was that Rory had nothing in the tank on Sunday when he was going for the career Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. Reed did okay. He shot 71. Rory, he's 74? He just didn't have it on what should have been the biggest final round in a long time for him.
You know what a turning point was? When he missed that relatively short eagle putt on number 2. After a disastrous drive and a great saving par on the first hole, and Patrick bogey number 1. It looked like, okay, here it is. It's all yours, Rory. And he couldn't finish the deal.
And the other big surprise, Spieth makes a run.
Right.
I mean, who saw him come?
And Ricky.
And Ricky.
And loses by 1 stroke.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Guys, thank you. More of Inside Golf coming up in just a moment.
Located in Bluebell, just a short drive from Plymouth Meeting, Bluestone Country Club offers a setting that's close at hand but feels like a world away. Bluestone offers a championship caliber golf course, practice facilities including a large driving range, separate chipping and putting areas, and a staff of PGA professionals. At the Country House at Bluestone, you'll find excellent food, superb service, and an outstanding setting. Their expert staff will assist in planning your next event, whether it's a wedding or simply a luncheon, dinner, or cocktail party. Check out Bluestone's variety of membership options. Much more than a golf course, Bluestone is a community.
Everyone is looking for something. Consistency, quality, peace of mind. Haverford Trust Company.
I'd be nowhere near the golfer or person that I am today without Cam. We don't hold our thoughts back with each other, and that's why we're able to be so successful.
Jordan brought with him a tremendous desire to achieve, whether it was that first day that we met or every session thereafter.
One of the epic performances.
Accomplishing these lifetime goals, could not have done it without Cam.
The best stories end in thanks. Share your story at ThanksPGAPro.com.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. Our thanks to Gil Hands and John Goslin for giving us a little look at what's been going on over the past off-season at Aronimink. And you know, the BMW Championship coming to Aronimink isn't the only pro event in the area. In fact, in May, Memorial Day weekend, the Symetra Tour, which features some of the up-and-coming great women's professional golfers, will be at the Valley Forge Invitational at Raven's Claw in Limerick. And we'll preview that event next week on Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you, don't pick up. And we'll see you next week right here on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirstteephiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia. GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine. It's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA. Experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.